He acts like a husband, stays consistent, shows up, talks about the future, says he loves you, but the second things start feeling permanent, something in him freezes, and that confuses a lot of people. Because from the outside, commitment looks like the obvious next step. So people assume the problem must be freedom. He's scared of settling down, scared of responsibility, scared of losing options. But honestly, that's not always what's happening. The real reason is usually much quieter. For a lot of men, commitment isn't just a feeling, it's a job description. Internally, it can feel less like, do I love this person? And more like, can I carry everything this relationship eventually becomes? That's a very different question, because a lot of men quietly experience commitment as a contract of competence, not just emotional loyalty, performance, provision, stability, consistency, readiness, and if he feels uncertain in one of those areas. Commitment can start feeling heavy even when the relationship itself is healthy. That's the part people often miss. Women are often willing to emotionally invest into potential. Men often evaluate commitment through requirements, not because they don't care. Because they do, sometimes too much. Which is why some men delay commitment while simultaneously acting deeply attached. Because internally, he may feel like, I'm not where I'm supposed to be yet. Financially, mentally, professionally, physically, emotionally. And if his identity is heavily tied to competence, commitment starts feeling dangerous. Not because he wants someone else, because he feels unfinished. A lot of men never say this directly. Instead, it leaks out sideways. They obsess over work, become inconsistent after moments of closeness, start overthinking the future, pull away right when things get more serious. Not because the connection disappeared, because pressure entered the room. But it's not just the pressure to perform that stops him. There's another fear underneath it, a quieter one. The fear that once he commits, the version of himself you fell in love with slowly disappears. You can actually watch this happen sometimes. At first, the relationship feels easy, safe, grounded, then slowly, tiny corrections start appearing. Dress like this, talk more, open up differently, be more ambitious. Individually, they seem small. Together, they can start feeling like an eviction notice for his actual personality. You've probably seen this happen. Maybe you've even done it thinking you were just being helpful. And obviously, most of the time, these comments are not malicious. Usually they're attempts to help, attempts to connect, attempts to improve the relationship, but psychologically. If a man already feels pressured to perform, repeated correction can slowly make the relationship feel less like acceptance and more like evaluation. That's when something shifts internally. He stops feeling chosen, he starts feeling managed, and once that feeling appears, commitment can start triggering resistance. Not always because the woman is controlling, sometimes because the relationship starts feeling like a trap he didn't see coming, a place where he slowly loses ownership over himself. A lot of men don't know how to explain this fear, especially because they often still love the person deeply while feeling it, which creates internal conflict. Because now closeness starts colliding with autonomy, love starts colliding with identity, connection starts colliding with self-preservation. And from the outside, it looks confusing because he still calls, still shows affection, still cares, but something in him keeps pulling against permanence. Now, obviously, this can become unhealthy too. Some people stay emotionally unavailable forever and call it needing freedom. Some people avoid commitment because they are immature, dishonest, avoidant, or emotionally disconnected. That absolutely exists. But that's not always what you're looking at. Sometimes you're looking at someone whose nervous system experiences commitment as permanent performance pressure, and eventually exhaustion wins. That's why the emotional atmosphere of a relationship matters more than most people realize. Because commitment changes when someone no longer feels constantly assessed, when the relationship stops feeling like another place where they must earn worth. A lot of men spend their entire lives performing competence, performing control, performing confidence, performing emotional stability, performing usefulness. So when a relationship starts feeling like another arena where failure has consequences, hesitation increases. But when a relationship becomes a place where performance can finally relax, something changes. Because now, commitment no longer feels like captivity. It feels like relief. People feel that difference, even when nobody says it out loud. And honestly, this is why you sometimes see a man hesitate for years in one relationship, leave, then marry the next person in 6 months. From the outside, it looks irrational. Internally, something finally felt safe. The relationship stopped feeling like another performance contract and started feeling emotionally safe. Not perfect. Safe. That's an important distinction because commitment usually isn't a single decision. It's a nervous system conclusion, an internal safety check. Can I breathe here? Can I fail here? Can I still be myself here? Will love disappear the moment I stop performing perfectly? Those questions matter more than most people realize, which is why chasing the sign usually leads nowhere. The better question is, does the relationship create alignment? Does it create honesty? Does it create mutual safety? Does it allow both people to exist fully without constantly negotiating their identity for connection? Because the strongest relationships are not built on one person endlessly proving themselves worthy of staying. They're built on two people creating an environment where neither person has to disappear in order to be loved. And if someone hesitates, the answer is not always, they don't care. Sometimes the hesitation is fear, sometimes it's pressure, sometimes it's unresolved identity, and sometimes they're waiting for a version of themselves that doesn't actually exist yet. Does his hesitation feel like fear? Or does it feel like he's waiting to become someone before he finally allows himself to be loved? Let me know in the comments.